Guys, we are going to go over the notes for the endocrine system 670 to 673. So go ahead and get your notebook ready and let's get ready to roll here. Let's highlight and make sure we have what we need. You're going to be doing a review and some information with this soon. So let's make sure that you are keeping track here. So what is the endocrine system? It's not a system that we hear a whole lot about, but it is a collection of glands and groups of cells that secrete or give off hormones that regulate your growth, development, and homeostasis. And if you remember, we talked about homeostasis earlier this year. It has to do with things like regulating and maintaining your body temperature and balance and all sorts of other stuff. So the endocrine system definitely works with the brain and other systems to make sure that we can accomplish that. So I mentioned hormones. What are hormones? They are messengers, chemical messengers that are made in your cells or tissues, and they cause a change in another cell or tissue. So you have lots of different hormones in your body that do different jobs that are very, very important. And then you have what are called glands. These help make hormones and they secrete them as well. So if we look at a picture of the endocrine system, the glands, there is a lot here to look at. And again, many of these or some of these work with other systems. So if we look on the left-hand side, we have the pituitary gland right up here, right in kind of the central part of your head. And then moving down, you have the thyroid and parathyroid glands here. These actually have to do with regulating your calcium levels and the amount of energy that you use. So sometimes if you're lethargic or you have too much energy, it can be a thyroid concern. And back to the pituitary gland for a second, I forgot to mention too, this is kind of like the control gland of all the other glands. So interesting that it's in your brain. Then moving on down, you have the thymus gland. This is really important to helping you fight disease, helping your immune system. So T cells, we call them T cells, are produced here, and they help that army in your immune system fight off disease. Moving down, then we have the adrenal glands. You guys have heard of adrenaline, and that is secreted or given off in sort of like stressful situations sometimes or exciting situations. Then we have the pancreas, right? We've talked about the pancreas with the digestive system. We mentioned before that it regulates your blood glucose levels. And then in females, you have the ovaries. They produce hormones that you need for reproduction, the eggs, right, in females. And then we have the testes in males, and they produce the male hormones, testosterone, which we'll discuss a little bit more in the reproductive system. So just to give you an example of some of the importance of the endocrine system, when you think about the pancreas, we kind of mentioned this before, but glucose is the fuel for your body. So when you eat, you're trying to get glucose, right? It's absorbed into your bloodstream by your small intestine. So if the glucose level in your blood is high, like after you eat, your pancreas actually tries to balance that out. So it releases or secretes a hormone called insulin. We've talked about that in the digestive system. Now, the insulin then would signal the liver to take in some of that glucose from your blood, and then it would change it into what's called glycogen, and then it would store it for later if you don't need it. So people who don't have a functioning pancreas, that's a problem. So the pancreas then can detect your blood glucose level has now gone back to normal because the liver transformed that glucose into glycogen and saved it for later, and the pancreas did a good job of regulating that. And then if it gets low again, basically the liver now knows, hey, use some of that stored glycogen and release it into your blood, make it into glucose and put it back into your blood. So sometimes to raise that blood glucose level, you have to eat something, right? And especially if you're diabetic, that's how we regulate that. So this is just one example of a hormone that your body actually has to do work with. So it's very, very important. There's so much more to the endocrine system, but that's a simple example. So that's what I have for you today, and hopefully you can go back if I went a little too quickly. It's pretty short, but let's make sure we keep track of that. And if you have any questions, we'll go over that when we talk soon.